Hi, everybody. My name is Jordan Smith, and today I'm excited to present about the animals known as sea otters. I was always interested in them as a kid, and I relished the opportunity to find out more information about how they lived and other things like that. So, to begin, I'll give an introduction. Sea otters are carnivorous mammals who reside on the coast of the Pacific Ocean in both North America and Asia. Currently, in North America, there are some that live in California and Alaska, while in Asia, there are some that live in Russia and in the northern part of Asia. So like more like higher in China and places like that. They are primarily water-based and spend most of the time in the water. So they live along the coast, like they reside in areas that are rich with kelp, which I will explain why later. Though they are primarily water-based, they do spend some time on land for a variety of reasons, such as finding food or other materials. So they will avoid land when they can, but if they have to find different materials such as rocks or kelp or stuff like that, they will go on land for that. They're usually around 4 feet long and typically weigh around 65 pounds, making them a moderately sized animal. When living in the wild, they can live up to 23 years. While most soy otters are found in the wild, they can be found in a variety of zoos. Otters are often found in a variety of zoos, but not exactly the sea otter itself. They are often confused with other species such as the marine and Eurasian otter. So when talking about sea otters, it's important to be specific about which one you're talking about. So here I will show you on the bottom right, you will see where sea otters live currently, where the yellow is, that's where they currently live. Though in the red, you'll see where they used to live when they were more populated. Um, so to carry on, the sea otter has the following taxonomic classification. For domain, they are Eukarya. Their kingdom is Animalia. They fall under the Chordata phylum and belong to the Carnivora order. Their family is Mastulidae, and their genus is the Enhydra. So their full scientific name would be the Enhydra lutris. In total, there are over 13 species of otters. The species most closely related to them is the spotted neck otter, which is scientifically known as the Hydractis mycolicollis. On the whole, otters are generally pretty similar in terms of behavior and appearance, though there are some differences. The sea otter is oftentimes brown and dark shades, light shades, and are quite fuzzy, whereas other ones are more seal-like and their fur is more slick and they are more slick in the physical appearance as well. Um, so if you want to see in the middle here, you'll see a phylogenetic tree for them. So they care about their behaviors and their physical traits. So since sea otters live in very specific conditions, they have evolved a wide variety of adaptations suited for their environment. The trait about them that stands out the most is their fur. Sea otters do not have a layer of insulating blubber to keep them warm, unlike most other aquatic mammals. As a result, they mostly rely upon their thick coats of fur to keep them warm. These coats are so dense that they are actually the densest of any mammal in the world. They usually have around 1 million hairs per square inch of their body, and the fur is broken down into two layers. There is the guard hair layer and the underfur layer. The guard hair is waterproof, is on the outside of the coat. It serves to protect the underfur layer, which is what actually keeps the sea otter warm. Without this coat of fur, the sea otter species would not be able to live in the environments it does, and is essential to its survival. Because it's so tied to their survival, it's vital for them to keep it clean. So they spend around actually 48% of their day just cleaning and maintaining their fur. So it's so important to them that if anyone tries to touch one, though it's rare you'll find a sea otter in nature, if you were to touch one, it would probably snap at you because if anything touches it, it can ruin the cleanliness and the dryness of the fur. So you are really quite defensive about it, though they're not aggressive animals, it's more of a defensive tactic. Um, so another unique ability is they have the ability to contort their bodies in a way that allows them to reach every part of their body. This is essential to keeping their fur warm and dry because they can access all parts of their fur and keep it clean. Other physical characteristics they have that they're able to close both their noses and their ears in order to submerge themselves without taking water in. This prevents them from contracting diseases from microorganisms in the water and helps them to stay warm as well. Otters have a variety of physical adaptations that help them maneuver within the water too. Their webbed feet allows them to swim effectively, though it does come at the cost of making on-land movement much more difficult for them. Um, their bones are also at a very low density, which allows them to float on top of the water to save energy. And as well, their lungs have a massive capacity, which makes them able to take in lots of air, which helps them remain buoyant. Most of the time within the water, they float instead of going underwater, though they're able to do both efficiently. When they are in a cold environment, they are able to draw all of their limbs towards the core, which sends the body heat from the limbs towards the core, which helps keep their body warm. In terms of characteristics that help them do food and water, they also have a unique ability to help, which helps them. They have highly sensitive whiskers and paws, which allows them to find their prey when they're in the water that is muddled or has low visibility. So, like other creatures which rely upon their eyesight, the otters can't see, they rely upon touch and tactile senses to detect their prey. Um, as well, they have highly developed kidneys, which allows them to drink seawater without having any negative effects. Though most of the sea otters get majority of their water through what they eat, this means that they can never really be afraid of having no water because as long as they're in the ocean, they can drink it to stay hydrated. Their teeth are developed towards their diet as well. Since they often eat hard creatures such as urchins, they have rounded, flat teeth designed to help crush their food down instead of biting. They do have a very high metabolic rate, so finding a constant source of food is critical for them since they do not retain their calories for long. So when they have every day, it's very important to find food because they cannot survive without the food coming in constantly. Um, so when it comes to being super environment, the sea otter is very adapted and evolved to fit where it lives and is a very well balanced and adapted creature. So it gives it a strong survival advantage just based on that alone. However, they also have a wide variety of interesting behaviors, which I think are actually more interesting to look at. So, like their oppressive array of they have a lot of highly developed behaviors which give them a survival advantage. When it comes to gathering food to eat, the sea otter is one of the most unique animals in the world. Firstly, they are one of the only mammals in the world that utilizes tools. The use of tools is often really associated with high intelligence, so it really stands out that sea otters can use tools. They do use tools by using rocks to break open things such as clams and mussels, and it's so ingrained in their behavior that they store it in one of their pouches in their body, and they keep a unique rock with them at all times. The rock can be based on the size and how it fits in its hand, for example. Um, they're also able to use this pouch by by using it when they go hunting. So when they go underwater, they can go for underwater from 1 to 4 minutes, and during this time, they gather food and put it in the pouch, which means they can carry more food than other animals because they can store it in their pouch and also in their hands. So they can get a lot of food in one trip. Um, these behaviors, though, how interesting they are they're one of the only marine animals that can work and remove rocks, which allows them to reach hard to get places that have creatures hiding from predators. So they can are the only animal where they live that can actually get to those places, which gives them a food source unique to them, which is a big advantage to have. As well, not exactly a distinct advantage per se, but sea otter is the only aquatic animal that catches fish with their paws instead of their teeth. So it doesn't really help them that much day to day, but it's still a unique, interesting fact about sea otters. In the social aspect, the sea otter has an interesting array of traits. Sea otters live together in groups, which are called rafts. They usually range in size from 10 to 100. They're the largest ever found, has over 2,000 otters in it. These rafts are set up by gender, so the males and females tend to stick together. Um, on the raft, they go off foraging alone, so they are somewhat social, but for the most part, they are solitary animals because they go hunting alone and maintain their fur by themselves. Though, despite of this, they are quite playful and play games, including like tag. Um, so, in order to avoid drifting away from each other when they're in the raft, they employ two different strategies. The first is to entangle themselves in kelp, which anchors them in place. And when this is not possible, they often hold hands so they stick together when resting. So, like I said earlier, they do seek out areas of kelp so they can have entanglements to keep them in place. But if not possible, they will hold hands to avoid floating away. I will show you an example of that here. Where on the left, you see two otters holding hands and make sure that they stick together. Um, the mating process for them is also quite interesting. Males and females often have mates and do not get attached for long periods of time. The mating process occurs in the water is often quite aggressive. Males are known to bite and scratch the noses of females, which often leads to scarring. When a mother gives birth, they are also known as being incredibly attentive to their offspring. As I can see here on the right, one behavior they really are known for is that the mothers will float in the back and have the child on their stomach so they can keep them warm. You can see here how the mother is quite wet and the fur is matted from the water, but the baby on top is dry and has a fuzzy coat because he's dry from the mother. The mothers are known for being incredibly attentive. They only really leave it to go get food, in which case they'll entangle it in the kelp, and then they help in a variety of ways, such as giving food and keeping its fur clean until it can do itself. Um, though they will abandon their children if it comes to a scenario where they can't afford to give it the food, but they are also, on the other hand, very charitable to orphans and will pick up other um, uh, abandoned children as their own. They can get so attached that even if their pup dies, they will keep it with them for over 6 days. So they will mourn and they have a very strong emotional tie to their children. Um, so, to conclude here, while the sea otter is a wonderfully unique and developed animal that has a strong ability to survive in its environment, they still face existential threats. Primarily from humans, sea otters are at risk from them. They are desirable for their incredibly unique furs, and they have been hunted in large numbers. If you want to see in this chart, over a couple of years ago, there was over 200,000 sea otters in the world, and then as they became hunted for their furs and pelts, they actually went down to almost a couple thousand in around 1900. Since then, legislations been passed to protect them, which has allowed somewhat of a rebound, but they're still quite at risk in a existential way. The best way to help them is spread awareness of their status as being in danger and promoting legislation that protects their environments and prevents more poaching from them. They are particularly at risk to oil spills due to how important their fur is. If the fur is covered in oil, they can essentially are left to die because they cannot clean it, and that is such an important part of keeping themselves dry and healthy. So, in order to promote this wonderful animal, I would suggest all of you to research what you can and help influence legislation to protect them. Thanks everyone for listening. I hope you have a great day.